chode. It was emphasis on the chode.
Hey guys, do you think they forgot to mute game sound yet on stream so they can hear me right now?
What's up?
Do you think the stream forgot?
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Infernosis, joined here by WeAlKu. Wes, thank you very much for joining me. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good as well. We've got ourselves Rainbow6 here in week 6 and matches up to the T here on NECC Esports. We got yourselves a pretty nice matchup going into this one. Of course, we have JWU Blue and UB Alpha. And this is, of course, as we do know, I believe it is Johnson and Wales University, their blue team, and then University of Buffalo's alpha team. Both of these here in the top division, Champions Division, and there's only one team here that actually has a loss. That's going to be the JWU side to UC Davis, who Buffalo has actually beaten. So a very good matchup. So what we got coming forward to us.
Yeah, both of the teams the top of that division. They're going to be the top teams fighting for that top dog position. And best of 3 as usual. Here we'll be finding ourselves on Clubhouse to begin with, going to Coastline second. And if we make it there, Consulate will be that third decider map, which is going to be interesting because I don't think we've seen Consulate. At least I haven't most of the season. But we are ready to jump in here into the Clubhouse map. What bands do you expect to see here in Infernosis?
Habana, Thatcher, Mira, Kaid. There's Thatcher. I mean, it's just like normal bands, right? I mean, like, we can't expect anything to go wild. Maybe an Ace instead of a Habana, maybe a Maverick. You're going to probably see a Heartbreach band. Habana's your
Yeah,
go-to, so you don't have to worry about impact tricking. So,
I
nothing
was
too
thinking the
weird.
same thing. in this division, we have seen different bans, though, so you never know. But I would say you're right. Hibana would be the new meta ban with her buffs, but instead they will go that Maverick direction. So Hibana will be on the board, allowing those hatches probably be open up more easily. It all depends, though. Will Cade be banned, or is he still going to be on the board to kind of persist on those hatches, at least for the basement hold? And it obviously helps out pretty much in every bomb site. His Cade charge is a lot harder to take care of than those bandits that can be put on the floor.
I think you're kind of guaranteed for the Kaid ban, right? If Maverick's getting removed, yeah, Kaid has to. I mean, without fail. There is no presence to be had. Kaid is nearly invulnerable to face off against here, especially for that basement objective. When the Electro Claws are in play, you just can't face off against them. And quite frankly, if you're going to ban Maverick out, the only person that's really able to deal with that in any serious capacity, you're going to have to ban Kaid in return. So guaranteeing that, they actually kind of use both their bans to do that, which leaves Mira on the board as well, because they'll opt to take out Wamai instead. So Wamai being taken out will make it so that those, ADS tertiary utility of those pancakes that can be gathered throughout the round will be an extra layer of support to go against. So quite frankly, Selma's from Ace might not be the go-to play here in terms of attacking for utility, because there's going to be a lot of that to go through. They will seem to opt to still go for that. But if we are going to the basement first, I think we should see Hibana as that secondary hard breach.
You would expect it, but so far they're going only with one hard breacher. And my guess is they don't expect them to go basement right away. And,
we'll need to get a pause real fast.
Oh, yes,
we'll get that one going.
In chat.
Struggling internet. It happens. Not a big issue. You continue.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to wait for that player to come back. I was just gonna point out, yeah, they're opting not to bring that secondary hard breach, and we've seen this a couple times now. Buck does have a gadget that would allow you to bring another hard breach, but they're gonna bring Capital, who also has a hard breach gadget in his pocket, so they can still do that. But since it is basement, not having the Sledge or Buck in the pocket of the lineup for the attackers, I do think that is a bit of a mistake. You're going to have to utilize breaching charges and possibly Ash charges or Sophia charges, maybe the shotgun with Jackal, but you're using a lot of more time and utility to open up the floors now.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the name of the game is right now, time. Everything it plays off of time, especially in this kind of 30-second meta kind of that we live in, right? And it's everything that Ubisoft is going out of their way to patch out. They don't want it in play at all, and quite frankly, I mean, the more they do, the more likely it is to come true. They're taking some pretty big efforts in effort to remove that type of meta, the consistency of that meta. But quite frankly, it's the only way they're really going to do that is to force some of these entries to be a little bit more aggressive. And I think the best way to do that is kind of force them with a little less utility and force them to kind of entry more with like actually gunning. I think that's about the only way we can really see that. So maybe remove some of the breaching charges on Ash again. Maybe, I think Sylvia's already in a pretty iffy spot, but like maybe get rid of Concussed. I don't know. Like she's going to be your Ash and Sophia are going to be your go-to entries no matter what. So it's kind of hard to balance them in a way to force more of an entry, but nerfing them to bring up some more, maybe like a Sledge as a secondary entry as well, which has been popular before because of L852 in hand. Could be something you actually do see, but we are finally getting the last player back in. We'll come right back to it, and we are seeing they're going to 6-pick because they need to, because they come in late. They're going to 6-pick over to Frost. So we're going to see the 9mm C1 attempt to wreak havoc here on Clubhouse.
Well, Frost being more popular of a pick, you do bring that extra shield, and she has a backup shotgun for self-destruction, so it is a very, very good op. We've seen her brought more and more, and the higher level you get to, it actually shows statistically, at least this is what Pro League players will argue, it does show that that will be more utilized. People will fall into that trap of the Frostmat more often at that high-level play, which is interesting. The other thing I wanted to point out, too, is just the lineup's a bit odd. They have a lot of shields. They have Ella, and they didn't bring it on the Echo, but they could have. But they did also bring it on the Smoke. So that's 3 shields. And you're talking about the meta change. They're going to maybe have to nerf the Ash or the Sophia. And I think that's even going to be more necessary, seeing at the changes that are coming to Goyle, removing his shields and only having a jerry can. Not sure exactly when that's going to be implemented. I'm not sure if that's next season or not, but it is certainly coming. And it makes me a little bit concerned.
It's definitely one thing to keep an eye on. I think the biggest issue to worry about, at least as an individual like me playing R6, is that while you can balance around the competitive scene, you do also need to balance around the actual casual scene as well. If you make too large of a changes to an individual operator, then they're going to see a low level of play, and the players who main that operator, especially one as heavy as Ash's mained, right? The one tricks that just like to rush in with the R4C. It's going to hurt a lot of the casual scene, but quite frankly, they need balancing in the first place, so it's really going to be a big contributing factor going forward. But we talked about the fact that Wamai was banned out, so those pancakes are not in play, and that's going to be a pivotal point for the JW Assault. If you take a look in their arsenal, like you've talked about previously, smokes are a heavy presence, and I'm praying that these are not relegated just as ADS burners, and in fact are actually going to be used to cut sightlines, because Capitao and then 4 smoke grenades in hand, that's devastating to try and face off against.
Well, Chodabus going to get a kill on to coin flips to start things off. The defenders will get that opening kill, and that will be Ash off the board when we were just talking about one trick pony. Well, they're done before they can even show us a trick off the board early in this one.
Chodabus will actually go down to the Frost player. Did actually find a kill actually from outside of that sub-roof inside of Jim initially, but it'll be Ados Move stepping inside, but a Frost Mat now from beyond the grave. Chodabus will find one. They'll be downed but not out, and quite frankly, Gent did actually manage to find a kill while hopping in, but Phoenix on the double kill from the spray across in construction will find 2 in there, and Strict is stuck downed but not out. So a 2v3, which is basically now a 1v3 as Phoenix will secure the triple. It's going to be a hard-fought return now from the JWU side. He's got a big engagement coming forward. Meow will find Phoenix out. He has to step back to pick up the diffuser. But a minute on the clock now and 2 players down. It's going to be a hard-fought situation for Meow.
Is such an aggressive hold above 3 players up there. I don't know if the Elo came late, but certainly in time getting those kills. And now it's all up to Meow. He got 1 kill though, did finish off that last roamer, but dealing with echo drones, and you have to contend with a smoke who has all of his babes in pocket, I believe. That's going to be a lot to ask with only 30 seconds remaining and you're a Zofia. So maybe you can concuss, but you can't really do much about this. This is going to be a very hard push for them. They're going to be harassed by all this utility still in the pockets of these defenders.
Shots connecting from the opposite side of Zigalo, who actually tags Meow out with the MP5 SD. Meow taking the aggressive stance and actually tags back in return, but Zigalo will find the kill, securing round 1 for a victory for the Buffalo side. And quite frankly, like you said, it's weird to see that level of aggression on that second floor. Usually you do see some heavy presence on the first floor. Well, they'll play a little off-site. They'll frag out if they can, but they step back to re-turtle, and they need to prioritize their life above everything else. We're seeing the complete opposite here. They're going to the second floor, and quite frankly, it's fortunate for the JW side to attempt to take the second floor and go in for that direction instead of just entering from the first, because if they'd entered from the first, they would have been even more caught off guard, and it would have been over even faster, and you wouldn't have gotten nearly as much kills. But quite frankly, we're seeing a really high level of aggression right now from the Buffalo side, and it's fun to watch and behold, even though it's not necessarily a normalized, coherent strategy. It's still it's a spectacle to be able to watch and see them go over these types of aggressive flanks and roams.
Just curious to see what the aggression will be here, if they're going to keep it up. They're going to gym bedroom, which, you know, with the kid off the board, I do think that's probably the better site. Cash will just get opened up very easily as well as that wall in CC. So I think people have started to move away from that bomb site because it really has seemed to be attacker-sided in many cases. And I think we're starting to see this bomb site now just showing a little bit stronger presence, and teams have actually been able to win this. I'm not sure on the statistics, but I would be willing to bet that this bomb site probably has a better win rate than Cash and CC.
I think a lot of it comes down to just preparation, right? A lot of teams don't practice this as much as, say, you know, CCTV and Cash Room, because it is the tertiary objective. It's not your go-to one normally, but I do think it's a wise decision to actually head over to Jim and Master, because quite frankly, you already slaughtered them in the first one coming through. Like you said, Kaid is off the board. You tend to want to focus on that roam that you're already having a heavy presence with. And that CCTV room and cash room objective is like one of the most heavily turtled objectives there is. I think only one comparable is Oregon Basement, because you have to hold strong. There's really no point in stepping off of that second floor and not holding inside. You'll maybe see one player, if even, stepping away. So quite frankly, smart decision to actually go to this one here, because I want to see that aggression coming forward, because you look at how spread out they are. They're not all going to situate in one single pocket. They're going to be pretty spread on the position, because they do have 3 shields available for the defensive side. And a lot of barbed wire is an extra way to slow down. So Buffalo really going to come out to really slow down the assault from JWU.
Yeah, you mentioned 3 shields. There's a switch away. Now Zigalo, instead of being on that echo, is on the mute, which will stop this drone work. It is interesting to see the push coming from the attackers. They're pushing first floor. They're going to have to funnel up the stairway here, and that could be a dangerous thing to do if you're not careful. I would never really suggest that as the primary push. So hopefully they relegate some players to push in a different direction, get on the windows, do something like that. But if they all do funnel up these stairs, I'm just curious to see if these defenders will be able to react in time. As you did mention, they like to roam and be aggressive in other positions. So, I mean, this might be a team that you can actually push upstairs because of just how thinly they are holding areas. If you all push one direction like that, it might pay off to just looking at this defensive lineup and the positioning.
Yeah, I think there's actually one defensive player. It's going to be that Ella Phoenix who was sitting inside of Stock and actually holding that tight corner between Bar and Stock. And they caught them, so that it does actually go in favor of JW. They'll be a man up, but you do still have Buffalo players kind of stepping away. For that master bedroom and gym side, it's very normal to take a look forward and actually see that push and hold, at least coming from the defensive side in cash room like we are seeing from JJ right now. But it's going to be a kill coming in a different direction. Zigalo finding Biao out in a 4v4 underway. 37 seconds on the clock, so there is still some time for the JW side to push forward, but time is running thin. You do not have the opportunity to clear out that roam like you initially wanted to do. Right now, you're having to rely on Ted to come up these red stairs in this flank from inside of CCTV, but the player inside will not let it stand. JJ finding coin flips, but Dugan with the SMG-11 finds Ado Smooth. JJ has an opportunity for one more, aims a little too high and misses, but he'll need to reload. Zigalo will support, however, finding his double, but Strict will be the only person to come up in that engagement on their side to win it out, finding JJ. A push from Strict, he'll get aggressive and cannot find it. Zigalo finds yet another with the SMG-11.
Job well done from these defenders, but I have to question what these attackers were doing. It's like, yeah, okay, you want to push in from first floor. I get it. Maybe that's just a different way of doing it, trying to catch them off guard. And he netted a kill, but it was all for naught. All the time wasted. They didn't push anything. Even the drone work, I mentioned the mute, so it's going to really slow down that. You have to start improvising and adapting to that quickly. They just got stalled out in the first floor and just didn't push into the last seconds. And that's just an easy defense for the defenders in cash and construction. They're all going to funnel the same direction. And in the dying moments, it's not going to take that much effort to slow it down and just stop it.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult, especially now when you take a look at the defensive side, who is up 2 rounds now at this point. So Buffalo will have to opt for a different objective. And quite frankly, I am perturbed is the word I will use here. They picked up Bar and Stark, which is actually the single worst objective in all of R6 history. No one ever picks this unless it's a misclick. It's just not a thing. You don't pick this objective, so they obviously are practicing some strange strategies coming through. It's worked so far. Maybe they realize that JW is a coherent team. It is actually very strong in their own right, so they say, hey, we'll switch it up. We'll throw in some weird sauce into the situation, spice of life it up, and it's definitely showing itself now. I'm still in disbelief that we're actually seeing this objective.
I am too. I've never seen this ever. You see it in casual because you're forced to, but that's the only time you'll see people go to the site. It's almost never voluntary. And in this case, you really do have to wonder, was this a mispick? Or with the Oryx, possibly they're hoping for something. But that site over in stock area is just not easy at all to hold as a defender. And so I'm curious to see if these attackers will realize what the defenders are trying to do here. Try and get control. All you need to do is in that east doorway of stock, get in the doorway. They can't even see you from above. So just go in there, get a smoke down, get a plant down. They have no bulletproof gadgets. They have no evil eyes to see through the smoke. So you could easily get a plant potentially down. But these attackers are going to actually do an upstairs clear. And Phoenix is going to have an easy kill. They're not even watching that direction. That's me off the board early in this one. And that's not how you want to start the round. Zigalo getting a kill on a strict viral as well. And while these defenders did choose something odd, they are still coming away with the advantage early on.
I mean, we've seen them go roam heavy. Honestly, this objective right here, in terms of comparison to CCTV and cash room, it's way more roam heavy. Because you can't sit on the objective. You will not do anything if you sit on the objective. It's just not going to happen. Speaking of not going to happen, Ado Smooth will fall to Phoenix for their double kill now. And it's going to be up to coin flips and Ted, the last two standing on the JW side. Looks like Coin Flips is inside of construction. Ted's on that southern subroof to look for something, but a player inside of Logi will be spotted out by the Jackal. The foot will be caught off guard, and now they're going to come in to try and pincer. Coin Flips watching this southwest side doorway. They'll come across, going both ways. Phoenix signs the kill, though, onto Ted from behind, and a swing around finds the fourth, and a flawless round for the University of Buffalo side. 3 rounds back-to-back, 3 different objectives, and now they have a pick of the litter, I guess you could say. I think they're probably going to head back to the basement side.
Yeah, well, the other 2 bomb sites will be blocked off. They could go CC. Maybe they'll just go 4 different bomb sites.
It
just
looks
throw
like
them
they
off,
are,
and
actually.
they are going to. So, I mean, this is kind of what I'm starting to expect now, getting a little more familiar with this team. They're just going to throw all kinds of weird curveballs at you, and it's hard to hit those balls, right? If we're talking about a baseball analogy, they are really just throwing in every single kind of pitch you can think of. And I don't know what these attackers are going to do. I honestly think that they need to ignore it a little bit more. They need to focus on their own game. They need to just get a classic push. These roamers could be caught unawares if you just push into sight, try and get the plant down, hold the right angles. But so far, they've just been flabbergasted. They don't know what to do on that attacking side. A flawless round on that bomb site, that's just showing you how much the mental game is affecting JWU right now.
Oh my goodness, like that is exactly the point I was going to make, the mental game. I mean, think about how devastating it is to see them pick up the worst objective in all of R6 and then to absolutely decimate you in a flawless victory. It's probably not looking so hot for the JW side. They have a very wide variety of fraggers on their side that can do very well, exceptionally well. They've come to this point so far and done phenomenal for themselves in the hardest division here at NECC. We know they're capable of everything, but they aren't finding that success on the attack. But like you had mentioned previously as well, the CCTV room cash room objective is a very well-known objective and arguably probably one of the easier ones to actually attack on this map. They have opted to go for the bandit on that eastern subroof wall, which will cut off a hard push coming from the attack, but that's easily taken out as well. I've seen Callies in play that counter that entirely, and while not very many people on this attacking side can really fully counter that because they don't have a way to breach through. Nonetheless, it's pretty exceptional from them so far. We have the air jab coming onto that window to stop the southern suburb rush. We do have a player on that eastern side. It's going to be Meow in that direction, trying to spot out what it is that is taking out that wall. What are they going to do in the situation, try and push forward? But they have bought already 40 seconds for themselves, so it is going to be hard to step inside, which we are seeing Coin Flips opt to do right now. But a rush coming through. It will actually go the other way. Phoenix finds yet another, their 8th kill, and Coin Flips will fall.
Oh, a dose move just completely missed that rotate through that door. He literally was right there. He could have got the kill. But in any case, that was also Phoenix looking at the man, had the opportunity, and just did not win the gunfight. Now, Phoenix does take a lot of damage from Strict Viral, trying to catch him on the rotate back through that doorway yet again, but they're just being persistent. They're doing some more damage through the walls here. If they could pincer here, someone needs to push in and get them, but no, Phoenix is going to take Strict Viral out, and another one. That's Ted off the board. Dugan's going to get in on this one as well, taking a dose move, and it's all up to Meow on their own in a 1v5. This could be another flawless round, 2 in a row, if this goes down the way it looks like it's going to.
I think Meow almost single-handedly, I think they maybe shot it from the southern suburb, but it looks like Meow almost single-handedly took out that wall on the eastern suburb. They'll also take out JJ, but it is really just a small band-aid in the festering wound that is your attacking side. Quite frankly, I think JWU need to opt in. Maybe, oh, that was close. Jotapus will fall to Meow. He actually attempted a run out on the garage side. Looks like the defensive side of Buffalo is getting aggressive and really wanting this, but they'll still find it. Zigolo will get the kill from inside of garage. MP7 in hand will catch Meow off guard, not looking in that direction. But like I was continuing, it looks like the only small minor success they had was actually taking that eastern side, and they all spawned on the west side. They really focused on that bicycle route and didn't opt to go into that eastern suburb of Kennel side, and I think that was a big failure for them. I think they need to opt in that direction first and really think about how to progress forward from that direction, because that's your go-to inside. You take that, you get a long shot towards that garage rafters, you push inside, get a plant, take garage into your favor, you've already got a substantial push going for you. We just didn't see that come through. They're trying too much to do roam clear, and the roamers are doing the opposite. The roamers are clearing you, and it's not working out for you.
Yeah, not working at all for them. They get caught unawares. They keep trying to push in from these different areas, which is not really traditional places to push in from on the first floor when they're holding second floor objectives, and you still can't get anything for your trouble. You don't get any map control. You're just dying. And quite frankly, that was just coin flips losing a gunfight. He was watching for Phoenix. He almost seemed like he knew he was coming, and yet he still just misses, and Phoenix doesn't. That's why he has 10 kills. He doesn't miss his shots, apparently. So I'm just watching and kind of in disbelief of how badly JWU is getting manhandled right now, because they just don't seem to be able to find anything, and they're letting these roamers just dictate the entire round every single time, 4 times in a row now. You just don't want to see them get 7-0'd on the first map. They need to start finding a round or two here before they switch sides, because while Cade is banned, I do think that makes it like more of an even map. And they aren't bringing the Hibana like we've been talking about to try and get into these basement holds. They've only ever been bringing one primary hard breacher. Now Hibana is on the board. I was wrong. Excuse me. Meow was playing them a couple times, but my main thing too, looking at this, is I just haven't seen them use the utility properly. Maybe it's because they're getting killed before they can. But like
It's
they're
'cause they're
bringing
dying before they
Capital,
can.
and they're just not using it. Where's the fire bolts? Are they trying to push them out of places where they could be hiding? Or where's the hard breaching going down? I just haven't seen it like at all.
I think what we're seeing here is Buffalo doing what they do best. I think they've VOD reviewed. They've checked into the style of JWU. They have them to a T. They know exactly what they're going to do. They know their strategy, and JWU did not switch it up here at all. They're doing probably the same push. I can't vouch for that entirely. They're probably doing the exact same thing they normally do. Breach in from one far side, do a very heavy roam clear, and then play from there. And speaking of that, a roam clear is just not working out. One will die and fall, but Phoenix will get refragged by Strict Viral. Coin Flips, who is down but not out, will be able to be picked up safely here, as it will come through at any moment. And those players now that you had initially anchoring have a little bit of an advantage because they're safe on the site. An air jab from the main stairwell and central stairs will take Chonapus out for the count. He'll be knocked back, and it looks like the maybe just everyone on the JWU side disconnected. Maybe we had an issue with, maybe they're all on campus.
I was gonna say they're all on campus in their gaming room.
JWU Wi-Fi crash.
Yeah,
That's
that's
exactly
probably
what
what it
they're
was.
saying. Well, it's 10 in a bad pickle here. Not looking like it's going to go so well for them. They're even saying knife fight. They're joking about that. That'd be pretty interesting. They're actually going to go for it here. Let's see how this engagement goes down. He's in a bad spot inside kitchen, and he doesn't even knife away. Chonapus will find the kill. The most impactful one here so far. In that, children, or college students, I guess I should say, is why you don't entirely rely on your university Wi-Fi with all thousands of students you have on campus using it.
That was rough. That's all I can really say. And honestly, though, with the way it was looking, that might have been their best round so far, because they took out Phoenix early and they had a 4v4 essentially. And the air jab stopped the roamer from above from getting anything done. So, I mean, that's just the most unfortunate timing. I can't think of a worse round for that to have happened. But
you took
the
Phoenix.
other thing,
That was your best round. You took Phoenix before he 4K'd you. That's your best round. In the books, gone by an unfortunate problem with university campus Wi-Fi. My university has the same problem.
Most do. Yeah.
Mhm.
I do want to kind of break down a little bit more what we just saw, though, while we have the time
Yeah, go
here.
for it. Let's digest.
I was kind of like, what are they doing? When I saw Meow flashing, okay, you flash him. Single file just on the door by yourself. There's a window. There's the back door freezer. They could have pincered together. Someone on the window really had the line of sight
We
all the
did
way
see
in.
the pincer at the end, but it's too late at that point.
Too
right?
late. Right. It's like, wait, you don't have to solo push Meow. You didn't have to do that. You could have waited. Let your teammates get on the other positions. You have the air job defending you from behind on the top of stairs at least. So maybe have one person watching down that hallway for anyone to kind of get on a flank on them. But everyone else, let's just push this guy. Let's take him up before he has a chance to get a kill. He can't watch 3 different directions at once. Yes, we did see the pincer on the backside from freezer door. Yes, you're right. And that's how they got the kill. Good job. But it happened too late. You lost Meow when it was really a needless death, as I said. Pushed by himself. Just have a little more patience. Talk to each other. Get someone on the window. You have all the angles. He's not going to survive. Like, even if he's a better gunner than you are, you can outstrat them because they're solo roaming and they've isolated themselves in a room where he had no rotation out. So that's just one of the things that was kind of frustrating to me. It's like they just missed an opportunity there. They did eventually get that kill, yes, but he got it down, which means you have one player down to 20 HP and yet another one who died. So it's just more damage that was necessary.
And it looks like the Wi-Fi is actually back, so we're getting a couple of those players backed in. I'm just missing one at this point. They'll come in pretty quickly here, but yeah, I mean, pincers, name of the game. We're seeing a very standard kind of push. It's different from, say, your normal competitive strategy you'll see in some T3, T1 leagues, right? Of the way that they're attacking in. They're really playing this roam clear pretty aggressively, but they're not using the roam clears, the roam denial operators like Nomad or Gridlock to full advantage here, right? We did see one air jab come to fruition, one. And against a team that's rocking like 4 roamers, and I wish that was an exaggeration in most of these rounds, but quite frankly, it kind of is true. If those aren't connecting, you're not putting them in the right spot, or you're not predicting well enough, or maybe you're just entirely caught off guard. Quite frankly, you're coming in now round 6, and you're about to get 6-0'd to a match point. You better pray that your defensive side is as strong as theirs is, because they have thrashed you one-sidedly. You need to take that step advantage. I think JWU is capable of that. WeAlKu, phenomenal player. I definitely think they have the ability to go forward with that one. And while we head to the gym and bedroom site, which is the next one we're going to go to, I think we're going to see some pretty cheeky strategies for pushing into this one. I'm hoping to see, but based on the operators I'm seeing right now, I won't state them just yet. Based on the operators I'm seeing right now, I'm thinking of a random push onto that jacuzzi site. I'm thinking we may see an entry in that direction. And that's going to be a fairly free entry into that side because you have that one operator we'll talk about in a moment that can clear out what the opposition has and really guarantee you an extra stage of push and actually getting inside.
Yeah, I agree. They could easily go for a push there. They have a bunch of smokes in their pocket, and the last man that they're missing that they have been bringing at least has been that Capital. So if that's the 5th man, you have him with smokes, you have Jackal potentially with smokes, you have Ace with smokes. They're not bringing anything to look through the smokes. They have not brought a bulletproof cam or a maestro cam whatsoever. I think people forget that this is an objective game sometimes. You can actually plant. You don't have to go for the kills. Let them roam. If they want to have 3 people off site, you just push site, make them come back to you. You hold the angles. You have the advantage there. If they get the jacuzzi open, they smoke off the hallways, and they just have someone on the window as well of gym, just trying to make sure no one's in there. They could easily get a plant there. Most people don't open up the full wall. They're only holding up foot lines of sight, I guess. What are those called? Am I blanking? Is
Totally
there a
fine.
word for that?
I mean,
I'm just
footholds
thinking if
is
this
usually what I call them.
footholds.
Just footholds.
Okay. Well,
Even though
I
that's
mean,
technically
if
not
they
a
just
a
have
good term
that,
for it.
right?
Not a great term
Yeah,
for it.
strong
It'll be fine.
foothold. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of it's like foothold. But
Mhm.
yeah, it is what it is. Words are hard. But
Words
yeah,
are difficult.
you're right. Gym bedroom. The last man has loaded in. They're gonna bring Ash, not the Capital. So that's interesting. But they don't have a Zofia, so I think you need one of the 2 ops. So that makes sense. Do you see any adjustments then? Do you think that push will be coming from Jacuzzi?
Twitch. That was the operator I was inferencing at earlier. Meow on the Twitch. F2 in hand, one of the best guns in game, has received about the same amount of nerf as I believe as the Scorpion Evo, which is I believe the most heavily nerfed weapon in game. I mean, it's still a phenomenal weapon in the right hands, right? I think Meow is capable of doing that. I also think that Meow is fully capable of using those Twitch drones to full potential, right? Full wall were being reinforced outside that bedroom side. Bandits, batteries going outside on that jacuzzi side. That's exactly what I was talking about previously, however, where you're going to see those Twitch drones come to fruition. There's a drone hole right on that jacuzzi side. Can step in easily, zap out those bandit charges, and now you're inside. The only thing you have to worry about, main stair, and of course, Logi doorway. You smoke those off, which you do still have 2 smokes in the hands. No, sorry, 4 smokes on your hands at your side. You smoke out those hallways. You can get a plant inside a gym fairly easily, but the worry still is, like we had talked about, those footholds that are holding out there, which would be a way to kind of line of sight them and really take out your toes. So it's something to keep an eye out for, but I definitely think JW has a better chance here with this current setup.
Here's what happened. He already had a Twitch drone up here. Did they shoot it? Because he had just threw a second one, so that's weird to me. I thought he had one on the balcony there already, but whatever. As long as he can get the job done, help that Ace get that wall opened up, that'll at least be the first step. Now, we did see on the cams here that the Frost was in that vicinity, so they're probably going to be aware that the Twitch drone has zapped things, and so they're going to know this push is coming. This is part of the problem. You can't really rush in with the explosion from an Ace. You have to wait for it to fully activate and get the full layers down on the wall. If it was a thermite, it could have actually just planted it, blown it up, and run in with it. And honestly, that might not be a bad idea. Now, what I want to see is someone paired on that gym window, and it just hasn't happened quite yet.
Yeah, I think thermite's a definitely viable option. I think the worrying part of a thermite, however, is that you've already got smokes in pocket, right? You have smokes in hand. If you're going to go in with a thermite, then you're going in before the smokes even have time to activate. And since you don't have a Capitao to throw it in and have it activate very quickly with those bolts, you're kind of lagging. So a thermite and Capitao combo would be fairly good. And Capitao also has a hard breach in pocket. It would have been just fine. I think that there's multiple ways to go around it and work in this direction. I think Selmas are a perfectly fine option, especially since the AK-12 for Ace is just a phenomenal weapon as like a whole part. I think it's a great option here because they don't have a Kaid in play to be able to actually throw those and half trick out the opposite side. Crossfire seems to want to be put in place strict. Will be on the outside, but it'll be Chodapus who finds Ted outside from, I believe, Logi doorway, and they are still there in that situation. He'll find a second, a double kill. Nice kill with this C1 in hand. He looks for a second, can't find it, however. He'll be traded out now. Eidos will find the kill, and a 3v4 is underway.
40 seconds remaining here. Time is ticking down. Phoenix is still alive. The biggest thorn in their side, so they have to be really aware of that. Coin Flips has no kills yet, but he's on the Ash, so this is a good time for him to show the gun skills. But Ziglo is going to show his, getting a dose move off the board. Now it's a 4v2 for these defenders, and only 25 seconds left. No plant is down yet. Strict is in an engagement, taking some damage. He's finally outside in that gym window, but I think that happened too late. He wasn't there helping his teammates for a long enough period of time. We do see Coins going up these stairs. He's going to engage, and he's going to get the down and kill onto Phoenix, but he's going to be caught by the other man to his right, the Jaeger of JJ. And now, all up on the sledge of Strict Viral. He's going to open up the window, but someone's going to jump out. And it's JJ getting the kill, finishing up that round. That's 6 now in a row. Buffalo looking very dominant here. Could get that 7-0 if they can take their first round on their attacking side.
I don't have the data for it, but I think this genuinely might be one of the only 7-0s we've seen. I think the divisions have been very fair across the board. And I do think these teams are very fair, considering the fact that they're both really having very strong stats going into this. One has beaten a wide variety of teams, very good standings inside of the highest division here for R6 at NECC. I think it's just a preparation difference, right? JWU has this very set in stone strategy. They've only switched off of it once, and it was their closest chance. And quite frankly, it's just getting countered. That one push they had, that one coherent push and strategy they're wanting to favor, has been dismantled by the Buffalo side, and they're going to try to now do that again on defense. We'll know for sure here. We'll only have one round to really figure it out, but we'll know for sure here if they've really done their homework to see what Buffalo will try to bring to the attack. They have opted to bring a Cali, and if anyone who knows, anyone that's ever played Cali, you have to be extremely confident on Cali to play Cali. You have to be good at Cali to want to bring that out in a competitive play.
The other thing to keep in mind is she's been nerfed. I would call it a nerf recently.
It wasn't intended to be
armors,
a nerf, but it's a nerf, yeah.
I know, but it is, right? Like,
Yeah.
You can't one down people. You can one-shot kill 3 speeds now, which is nice, but overall it's not nearly as good with that fire rate. But I will say her backup gun is actually really good, the SMG, not the other one, not the C75, but the SPS, that was it. I like that gun a lot. Now, it doesn't have the greatest amount of bullets, but the recoil is not bad at all, and has a really high rate of fire. It's honestly like an SMG-11 with less recoil. So I do like that weapon a lot. So she could do a lot of damage, and especially in the hands of someone like Phoenix, who's been showing their gun skills throughout the entire matchup. Definitely something good. But I do want to point out something real quick before I hand it back over to you, which is this is JWU's map. They chose this map, so they certainly don't want you 7-0'd, or else that's a huge blow to the mentality of their team.
Yeah, and Buffalo opted to bring Coastline, which is another map that you have to be extremely comfortable playing to actually do. It's a wrench. Everything we've seen from the Buffalo side is a wrench, quite frankly. There's a cog. JW is a cog, a well-oiled machine in terms of their strategies and what they want to do, and Buffalo is a wrench that's just getting put inside, and there's nothing they can do about it. Just really throwing everything out the window. A shot nearly connecting centimeters away from the head of the opposition, but Chodapus already inside a utility, having a good position for himself. Shots will come from the soft wall between there and Church, but nothing connecting from really either side. But already looking right now, Buffalo having an aggressive stance and Kitchen Hatch already open for themselves.
I was going to point out how fast this is going. Ziggler getting a kill to open things up. A shot is going to down the man in the back of Armory. Nice shot from Phoenix. He sees another one behind the box. He's going to miss it, though, and that rate of fire is going to come to haunt him. Meow is downed, however, and Ziggler going to get that kill. He's going to start getting the plant as well. And Strict Viral getting a kill on the Chotapus, though. There is the plant going down, but does he see him? Dugan's going to try and help his teammate. C4 comes out and misses. Dugan's going to get the kill onto Doe's move, and now it's all up to Strict to try and bring this back for his team, and he can't. Phoenix going to shut him down with that sniper rifle, and that is a quick 7-0. And one thing, a huge difference there I want to point out right away, look how fast that attack was compared to the other side.
It's different. That's quite frankly, the Buffalo side is built different. I think that's I think it both as a meme as for the bit, right? But also quite literally, like I said, they're doing everything different. Everything they've decided to do has been different from the normal. And I think that's what's really putting them above the competition right now. What's really giving them this stance. Teams don't know how to prep against this, right? Teams, they practice together in competitive scenes. They'll play ranked, right? So they're probably used to facing ranked stars, as they are called inside of the R6 community. They're used to having that kind of aggressive style and kind of screwing around, not really coherent strategy to go through. But there is a ton of strategy from the JWU side, and they know what to do against it. Whoever the coach is for this Buffalo side, whoever is the in-game leader, is doing everything right to deny any chance for them to come forward. It's disgusting to behold, but I think JWU has a chance on this next map because their strategy they've been going for and the counter for their strategy isn't exactly viable on Coastline. But considering it is Buffalo's pick, I think they have something in store for that. But we're going to take a short little break. Wes, if you want to throw us out a quick little recap and then send us on our way.
Right. Well, just to recap, it was a 7-0, and they started on defense. So they will start on defense in this next map as well on the side of Buffalo. So to keep that in mind, we'll see how it goes. It is Coastline, though. So typically attacker side is questionable. It depends. Every league's different, right? So maybe it'll be different here, but they will start with that defense, and we'll see if they're able to hold it. And also, it will be on Coastline, as you had mentioned, and as I had mentioned. So we will see that in a moment here, but nothing really else to add other than a dominant performance from them. Primary players to watch out for is Ziggler and Phoenix, of course. So we'll see if they can keep up as the top fraggers for their team. But quickly, we'll be throwing it to sponsors in a short break here, and then we'll be coming back with that Coastline match, our map, right after this.
Welcome back, everybody. My name's Infernosis, joined here by WeAlKu. Great map 1 here in Week 6 of Rainbow6 Siege. Starting off strong, JWU Blue versus the University of Buffalo's Alpha Squad, and Buffalo's definitely showing that alpha mentality here. Completely a 7-0 rout of the opposition on Clubhouse. And we're going to have to see how Coastline pans out. WeAlKu as our go-to color caster in this matchup here and our analytical guy himself. What's the difference between Clubhouse and Coastline, just like in a base level?
The base level, it's smaller, right? And so that's going to be the biggest factor. You're not going to have to take so much time to clear things out. Now, you certainly can if you're getting stumped, let's say. So it does happen from time to time, but with such a small perimeter to check for roamers, it's going to be a lot faster of gameplay. You're just going to see engagements early on. Now, we did see it last time on Club. There was early engagement simply because of how aggressive Buffalo was. But this is just the standard for this map. And so we're going to see more of the same in that sense. But I think it might help JWU a little bit, at least in comparison to last map, because they really got flabbergasted on that roam game. So here it's kind of more normal. It's the meta, let's say. And so they'll at least be more prepared for it. You expect it going into a map like this. But that also does show that this is going to be a fragger map, right? So that's what people call this. You don't have to worry so much about hard breaching. There's not as much like strat necessarily involved. It's more just win your gunfights. And we saw Buffalo certainly were on top of their gunfights.
Yeah, match will get underway. Bans for Coastline are strange. I mean, in a logical sense, it's nothing too different from the normal, right? I mean, Thatchers can have a presence, but quite frankly, right, like you said, hard breach isn't as much of a big deal here. Castle can have a pretty good playtime. I think every single operator can be viable here on this map. I think Amarus are extremely viable, however. I would actually think an Amaru ban's one of your go-to bans for this map because you can jump straight up to the rooftop, get a sight line through Skylight, and completely decimate any player that has not gotten back to their position they want to sit inside of in those second floor hallways and first floor hallways, and you take a player out from the get-go. It's just something that is atrocious to face off against, but first ban to come through will be the Ace, second one will be a Jackal, and this is a very old-style ban. Maybe they're just looking back at when Jackal was more broken and saying, hey, they played Coastline back then, they banned him then, maybe we should do that too. I'm not really sure the thought process behind it.
Well, with it being such a small map, the pings coming from the Jackal, while they're not as good as they used to be, they're still very valuable, especially for a team that seemed to be struggling with their drones. And they were bringing that Jack last time, which did help them get a couple of kills, and that's JWU that I'm talking about. And so maybe they're thinking that they don't need it on this map like they did last time. It was maybe too much of a crutch even, so they don't want to even have it available for them to rely on too much. I'm not quite sure. They are the ones who banned it, but the last bans are pretty standard. I would say Mira, not as powerful necessarily on this map, but she's still very useful, especially in that downstairs blue bar in Sunrise. That's definitely a place where you see her played a lot. So seeing her off the board isn't all that surprising, but really the Valk ban's probably one of the most standard because, as I mentioned, small map, easy to run out on. Throw those cams out, you get a lot more of an advantage as a defender, just knowing where are they pushing from, are they out on the balconies, things like that.
Speaking of advantage for a defender, the roam potential for this map, despite it being very small, is fairly high. Because there's really big choke points, centralized locations to kind of squat and find your own in that situation. That's something we had definitely noticed Phoenix doing before, who now, instead of playing Ella, like we had noticed a lot of in the map before, will now out for the Malusi. And those Banshees, those Wub-Wubs, will be detrimental in these long hauls. It'll be very difficult to try and deal with, but the defensive side had a Warden. You had stolen my heart for a second and immediately dashed it away. And so, quite frankly, I'm a little upset about that, but nothing too devastating to go through. We do see it get switched over to. We now have a smoke in play. We've got Amai in play. We've got that Vigil, which is kind of a selfish roamer, I would say. It's not really having much utility besides maybe information denial and kind of catching players off guard. But I don't think Buffalo struggled with that anyways. Maybe they find it's a little harder for a smaller map.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I do agree. It's a selfish pick overall. It just really doesn't bring anything to your team. Like, maybe you can help with the rotate by bringing those impacts, which, I mean, You have the shotgun from the smoke, so it's a very weak argument. But I want to point out a little bit of the mind game that was going on. There's a drone over there watching that service store area where Romer was going near, I think. So something to keep an eye out as we see the entry points here. But I wanted to point out they had switched over to the Wamai, and that you said that they had switched away from the Warden that you love. But the reason they did that is because Capital was on the board early, but they six-picked it to the Ash. So it's a little bit of a mind game going on. So I'm not going to say the Wamai is a bad pick anyway. Combining him with the Jaeger is still powerful in its own regard, but it was primarily probably for that Capital who's no longer there.
Yeah, I think it's that's a good decision. Great looking into that one. Capital, I love Capital, especially on this map. I actually think Capital is phenomenal on this map, especially because of these, cool vibe staircase. A lot of these staircases, there are these vents that go to the rooftop that you can actually throw your fire bolts down into and can actually remove a lot of the lifelines, quite literally, of the opposition, catching them off guard. Nades go down fairly well as well, but we only see 2, and that's going to be your Sledge of Strict. So I'm a little concerned with the lack of destruction or killable utility, because we haven't seen them really use their normal utility very often, because maybe it's just because they kept dying, but they haven't used it enough. I haven't seen enough of a precedent to work bringing so much utility that's situational instead of just going, hey, they're fragging us, let's frag them back.
Well, certainly there should be frags falling out soon, but halfway through the round, no frags being found. It's a little odd on Coastline. Usually see engagements early on, but these defenders are playing a little bit more passive. As I say that, we do see a Doze move is going to take a lot of damage. He's rocking that G36C instead of the R4C, which is interesting. Different preferences. It does have a better scope, arguably, but I do think the R4C is still a really good weapon, so I'm surprised to see them switch away from it.
I think the G3 RC, whatever the heck, gets got a buff, or it's getting a buff, sorry, in the TTS for its recoil pattern, which is actually going to throw off a lot of people who learn the recoil pattern. So we may have to see Ados move switch off of that, since his recoil control spray pattern is going to be entirely different, since the just recoil in general got a huge buff. So much so it's not even close to the same level of muscle memory. But I think a lot of people will just say, nah, I'm just going to do the R4C. Tried and true, take it all the way. There's a reason why people don't switch off of it, despite it being a worse scope, receiving so many nerfs. It's just because it's better still. But Ted will find onto the top of Dugan, and JW will take a one-main advantage. I think this is their second one total that they've ever gotten here. When they had gotten was close on to the early of the first stages, I think the second round, but fights will engage on site. They'll lose 2 in a single second. Chotobus and JJ will find Chotobus on a second one. Phoenix finds the third to Meow in a 1v4, not going to matter. JJ finding that one with the C7 in hand. Ted will fall, and what we saw was getting kind of close for the JW side will be dismantled, just decapitated, and relegated to a new round. Nothing they can do. Buffalo pincering and dominating here in round 1.
Yeah, that was really reminiscent of last map on that first time I believe they went up to the gym and bedroom defense. We saw them pushing from the first floor, and what happened? They just stalled out, and then they pushed in the last 30 seconds, and they died. In this case, they're up top on the same floor as the objective, but it's the same story. A stall out. Yeah, we get the opening kill, and they did, I think, on that round as well. Didn't matter. It doesn't matter because you don't have the time then to play for the objective. You have to start funneling these defenders. They're playing very passive, holding the angles, knowing you're not even near sight. We already know your positions. It's a small map. There's not a lot of places to push from. So come on, feed us. And that's what happened.
Crawl into my scope. just come right in. I'm waiting for you. We're here for you. Nothing to worry about. Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree in the slightest. Right now, Buffalo is just, it's kind of like a cat playing with the mouse. Like, they know the mouse is coming out of their hidey hole, which is the spawn. They know the mouse will come around eventually. You just have to wait for him. It's like a really slow-paced episode of Tom and Jerry, except this time the mouse doesn't win, right? So, quite frankly, it's looking hot again for Buffalo after the beginning stage of that gets, puckered out, I should say. The flame dies out from the JWU side. I do think they have what it takes still. If they can take control of that second floor, they do have 2 operators that have a fairly good way to take control of that. Ash's breaching charges and Sledge's hammer, but a cheeky spawn peek will not go in favor. Edo Smooth will actually find the kill into JJ, and that selfish pick of the Vigil will fall early, and now you have the man advantage again. Hopefully you can keep the flame actually lit in this one and not pucker out as smooth as you did last time.
mentioned the selfish pick. Well, this is why it's risky to run him. Yeah, he was open for the roam game. He was the one that you'd probably have designated for that role. He's dead. He didn't give any utility to your team, and now it's basically just a wasted body. 4v5 now for these defenders, and really early in the round, the aggression just not paying off on that spawn peak. Now, I like to see the drone work coming out. I don't feel like we've seen it as much as I would have liked. At least I didn't see it. If they were doing it, it wasn't paying off. They were losing drones, and it wasn't being acted upon. But there is someone here in Sunrise by coin flips, so they really need to make sure this drone work is on point, or else they could get caught unawares.
There's that player behind bar, and you also had that Mozzie kind of holding close as well, but it will go the other way. Two will go the other way. Chodap is finding one, and Ziggler will find another player downed as well. That's going to be Ted, and Chodapus looking forward to finish it off. Diffuser caught off guard, and quite frankly, if JWU watching this back, do some VOD review for this. Ted in that situation, air jab behind bar. At the very least, it's a distraction. He has to turn into that direction. Jiggle peek that. Take the air jab in stride. And oh my goodness, I thought for a second Strict actually shot that. But no, Chodapus finding Ado smooth. And Strict is the last man standing. And a push coming down from the opposite side of security could be good. Pre-fire coming through. Phoenix will tag. Not able to finish off. Strict reloading. Not really necessary. A pistol rush will come. Phoenix will fall. Strict will find that kill, his first one of this match, but shots from the lying down prone. Chodapus will find success, and Buffalo will win round 2. A tale as old as time here, Wes. Just, what can you say? I mean, it's just them finding the kills and JWU not able to act on the advantage they had.
I'd literally just said their drone game needs to be on point, and they didn't. I don't think they saw the man behind bar, because he was not even looking at him when he entered through that doorway. He's looking at the main doorway, the double doorway, and to his left behind the bar is the Jaeger, standing up, just staring at him. And he just gets his head blown off. It's like, all right, guys, I know you're distracted by the man on that double door, but this is a very common thing. You're going to have people bait out your drones like that. Someone else will be hiding in a cheeky position. So you have to be aware of that. You have to be more cautious in this. And not only did it get a kill, it got 2 kills and the diffuser was down. So this is what happens if you don't do the fundamentals properly. You're going to be made to pay. And again, Buffalo looks like they're going to be able to run away with this one if there's no adjustments, if there isn't coordination, if things don't get cleaned up on JWU's side.
I don't even think Chodapus tried to hide there. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. He just stood. He wasn't crouched behind the bar.
Yeah, he was just standing up.
You're just standing there. Literally just absolute confidence, really and truly, of getting that. And quite frankly, did. They started off with 2 kills, and that one finding 4, getting up to 6, now 6-0. You do see that Chodapus is switching with JJ, who had fallen early on the Vigil before, will now play the Vigil himself. Maybe they go, hey, you did better last game. I'm going to do it this time around. Give me the K1A, and I'll show you what I can do with that. And quite frankly, I don't know your opinion on guns, Wes, but K1A is one of the best guns in the defense, by far. The 416C can be argued with it, just the fire rate difference between the two. K1A is phenomenal all around. And it's just personal preference, but I think the K1A is better than the 416C.
I mean, it's arguable. There was a statistic released, and now this is a little old now, but it was only like maybe half a year ago at most. And they had released all the statistics for weapons on both sides. The K1A was tied for 5th, I believe, with the Commando of the Mozzie. And the Carbine was, I think, the top 1 or 2, with the MP5 being the other one. So they're both in the top 5. So they're both very good weapons. Kills are going to start coming out, and that's 2 kills for JJ and Chodapus, but there is a refrag by coin flips and a down onto Chodapus. So there could be an even man count if they can finish up that kill, which would be very fortunate for JWU, but so far no one seemingly able to get in there and clean up that kill, and so this might still end up being a man advantage for Buffalo early on.
I just want to talk about the team play for that. Just immediately right off the bat, you see the frag come out through. They're going to take the long shot going out. It'll be Chodapus who finds the kill. We'll try to run away from the situation to stay alive and maybe go for another one a little bit later, but gets air jabbed. And that's a good play. Having an air jab in that situation is exactly what you want. Very good job coming from Ted. You're learning. You're placing that beforehand as a way to cut off sight lanes and roam denial. It can be used aggressively as well, and it, quite frankly, it worked. But the issue was Zigolo, best support player, not just because you're playing Doc, but because you saved the life of Chotobus. You do fall right afterwards, but you do save your top fragger from dying, who is able to now escape with his life and probably go on yet another tearing spree, and you're already up a man advantage because of it. Ado Smooth will need to be revived. He's still out, I believe, outside that kitchen window, is going to be holding in his guts, but Strict Foul, who had an opportunity to do so, will fall to JJ, and they won't even make it over to revive. It'll go the other direction. Coin flips falling to Chotobus, and like I said, Chotobus, the man of the hour who got saved from his teammate, will actually come around in the end to find a kill. So Zigolo, MVP of that round to save the life of Chotobus, and great teamwork from Buffalo.
This is the difference. The coordination. They're always together. They're always playing for that refrag. Now, there was an exception to that, and that's where I criticized JWU. Where was the exception? Last map, when we saw Phoenix by themselves, isolated in that kitchen area, no rotate out. The second player was on main stairs. You had the air jab to catch them. That's where you can start to take advantage of them. But so far, the teamwork on that side, the buddy system, has just been winning out for them. On the other side, JWU still look frazzled by this roam game, by the aggression, by the peaks, whatever it might be being thrown at them. They're not able to handle it.
What are we watching right now? We're seeing a Caveira on the board for Chotobus. A Rook is being brought out. They have no regard anymore for it. There is no strategy in place that says, hey, I'm going to increase my KD. We're seeing Zigolo, you don't play Rook unless you really only want to get that gun in hand and actually have a really nice scope on it. That's the only reason you play that. In flat, plain, and simple. Caveira, you're only playing Caveira because you like to be toxic. I mean, that's kind of the generic term. Not saying they are being toxic, but that's like the generic term for it. Caveira is a toxic operator. I would know that. She's my main. I love the play.
Of course you would.
Yeah, of course, right? I'm a Blitz and Caveira main. I know the one thing, it's toxicity, right? It is generally deemed as a toxic operator because they're not competitively viable. They used to be when the pistol was a lot stronger. They're not competitively viable now, but they still are very strong because it's an insanely high-level operator pick. It requires an insanely high skill cap to be able to produce results on that, and the one person you do want to see on that is going to be Chotobus, who's 8-0 coming into this round.
Yeah, you have the top frag on that. Kind of shows me this might be a little bit of BMing, arguably. You know, it's hard to say that this is a serious round for them. You mentioned the Rook being brought on top of the cap, but they're kind of half serious. They still have some basic things like the Melusi to slow down, gives the noise from the wubs that give positions away. Zigolo will get the opening kill on District with that MP5 in hand for the Rook. And that's going to already give them a man advantage early. That's a hard breach off the board. This is already looking like the same story.
Ooh, cheeky position right there. Coin flips, you notice that the melee hole that was made in the wall, JJ had put that there, and this is a little bit of in-depth for that strategy. He put that there, but he didn't shoot through it. He actually shot below through a bullet hole. So the sight line for the opposition, they look at that and go, oh, he's actually situated for that melee hole, but he's not. He's inside the bullet hole crouched. Ted finding out Chotobus, and that Caveira will be delegated to another in terms of actual overall competitive play, and also this round will be delegated to being useless and not actually being viable in play. Chotobus unfortunately finding their first death. However, now for the JWU side, they've taken out the largest thorn for them. The wound that's been festering for them has had a very nice bandage put over. I would say it's one of those really thick square bandages, not one of the small kitty kitty bandages that you usually have as a kid. No, this is a big square one for those big knee abrasions, but they're going to need to actually find kills, and Zigolo's the one who's doing it instead. He'll find out Meow, and JW now a man disadvantage coming into this.
JJ still persisting at the top of white, and Ado's move's going to be trying to find him out, but this is just burning more time. They already have a man disadvantage, and from the luggage area, Phoenix, and through the wall, too. My goodness. Zigolo going to finish up the round, too. These players are just having a day here going off on JWU, and they just look like they have no answers for it.
Apparently, Phoenix did not like us saying or talking about Chotobus as much because we haven't gotten to talk about Phoenix in this game. Phoenix was the standout player in the map 1. Not in this one. It's been Chotobus the entire way. What did we just watch? What is the information being? Was it just a lucky spray? Where is the information there? that is an Among Us reference right there. There's a sus Among Us. That was a beautiful shot across through 3 walls there. Absolutely disgusting to behold. That was from towards the big window inside of master bedroom, just short of that bathroom wall. Phenomenal spray through, and it's just, you can definitely tell the difference in hours of coastline, and they definitely picked this one because they are a lot more comfortable with it.
Yeah, I mean, they play aggressive and they have the fraggers on their team. So this is certainly the map that they chose, and you could almost tell it just by the play style. But with that said, I mean, Clubhouse, pretty strategic map. I mean, yeah, it has its fragging moments, but overall it is strategic, and it didn't matter. The aggression just beat out the strategy, you could argue, and I don't know, maybe that is a strategy you could argue as well. Like maybe I'm not giving them enough credit for the strategies that they were running, but I don't think strategy even mattered last map. It was more just the aggression, getting the early kills, the players not even able to get inside the building sometimes from JWU. And Buffalo, while they are going with some interesting picks with the Cav and everything, it doesn't seem to matter at all. Just they're in a class of their own, it seems.
Do you think maybe they were planning for Caviar to be played the entire time because of Jackal being banned? I think maybe it was like, I mean, they didn't ban Jackal, JWU banned Jackal, but like, do you think that they look at that and go, okay, Caviera, right? If we start thrashing, right? Caviera, go in on it. Do you think it was like a planned coordination for that?
It's hard to know for sure if it's planned. Maybe it's just a habit they get into. You know, maybe they've done this in ranked. You know, maybe they're in a stack and they're like, hey, we're really slaughtering these guys. I'm going to start messing around. I'm going to be on Cav. And maybe that's just their mess around character. I don't know. They did get killed last time. Weren't able to get a kill. And that's Chodapus on it yet again. This time it was a 6-pick, so they're not going to expect it. JJ, though, going to be the opening death. Meow getting that opening kill onto them. That is the selfish pick yet again, being taken off the board while JJ is playing the Vigil. So it's interesting. 2 times now he's died before he's able to do anything.
Well, that kind of stinks as well, right? JJ's had a fairly good game for themselves. Really just kind of getting outgunned by his teammates, right? JJ and any other team that was not Buffalo right now, it would be a different standout. We would have JJ being a standout player, being that player we're looking at like, it's a man difference, right? No, I think there's not a single person on the Buffalo side that really hasn't had a great game. Dugan, you can look at the scoreboard and say he's not doing hot because he's 0-1, right? But nobody's even made it to the site. Dugan's just sitting there. Dugan's taking a nap. He's playing Mario Kart on his Switch in his lap right now. There's nothing to worry about, right? They haven't even made it to him. I wouldn't be shocked if Dugan just starts going on the roam and just starts chunking toxic babes to chunk them, right? Just to start pushing in with the SMG-11 and really trying to find something. Because we are seeing still roam from the Buffalo side, but it looks like Chodabus might actually get caught off guard. Shots coming from the main hallway will get tagged down from behind Sunrise Barn. A player behind the hatch could see a drop come through, but there is a player on the opposite side, more to the south inside of the main bar as well.
Chodabus going to hide here, still not being found out. From above, though, they will start to see them, but he's able to just rotate over into this entryway by pool. And they're going to have to hunt him down, and we've seen how much time that has wasted in the past. So either they just ignore him and push on to the site, try and just use those air jabs to cut off his rotations to try and flank you, or you just go and push him now. But you cannot sit back here like this. You have to be aggressive, get this kill, because you have 30 seconds. Now, a lot of damage is done. He's on a sliver of HP, but he still persists. Meow, though, is going to get the kill onto Phoenix in the meantime. That will give them a man advantage, but Zigolo is going to take out Meow as a refrag. And look at Chodapus is out here roaming around. Zigolo, in the meantime, getting a second one for their trouble. And he doesn't even need to be on site to help his team. His teammates are doing everything just fine on their own. Grenade's going to try and push Dugan into the corner here. He's taking a lot of damage from it, but they don't have the time to be messing around. They have to get in and get this plant, and so far it's just not happening.
We did not just watch Chodabus come all the way through to find that. Zigolo gets a quad in the ace, as well as Buffalo take round 5. Zigolo, what are you doing here? Honestly, I thought Chodabus coming through would find that, but no, Zigolo coming in stride. 416C in hand and pistol in hand, pulling out the 9 and really helping himself out towards the end when he runs out of ammo. But I wanted to comment a little bit because there's so much happening in that round. There's really just so much to digest. Great job at the JWU side to really try to come in and find Chodapus, which is a good decision in every account. Phenomenal job with the buck from above to clear out the floor and get a sightline and force them inside a towel. The issue is you didn't act on that after the fact, and if you're going to spend that long doing that, put an air jab inside that room right outside the doorway. that Caviar or Chodobus can't get out then, right? You'll hear the air jab go off and go, okay, they're going to come behind us. Or they'll run all the way outside, right? And you play from there. We saw the air jab placed on Cool Vibe stairs. We saw it thrown into the wall of Hookah. And while I like the aggressive play that we saw, because that was kind of an aggressive air jab, it was the wrong aggression to go for. They needed to do that one more towards Chodobus to deny that. And instead, they're able to run all the way outside, take a dip in the jacuzzi, play around in the pool a little bit, and then make their way back in the kitchen to make a meal, while all the time Zigalo's coming in finding a 5.
Right, and they get the kill onto Phoenix, putting it into a 5v3 at one point. There is a quick refrag by Zigalo, but you're still up a man, and you see the notification that the Cav has run outside. Like, you know that. You know that they're not in sight. You know there's 2 people max in sight. That means it's basically a 4v2. Why don't you act aggression there? Why don't you just push in, get the refrag, play for the refrag? Yeah, Zigalo might get 1 kill, but the chances aren't very high he gets another one. You could easily have just been aggressive there, and you knew you had to. You had wasted so much time trying to clear that Cav, as you had said. So what were they thinking? I'm not sure, but they weren't aggressive in the right ways, right? You mentioned how they were aggressive a little bit with the air jabs, but just not in the right positions, not in the right push. I just think they just had a missed opportunity that actually could have been around for them.
Honestly, I think JWU had a very good chance there. I saw something that I didn't see the entire time, which was phenomenal crossfire set up inside of that bar room. There was that player inside of that hallway. There was the player that was coming in from the hatch. There was a player that was coming from the other bar. There was so much you had going for you to come into that ultimately flickered out. It puckered out and nothing came of it. And that's exactly the problem we've seen the entire time. And it's just not what you want to have happen. But round 6 will be underway. Can this be another 7-0 victory? Ted will find out. Chodobus not being able to find anything in this round. And while Zigalo is now the top fragger, the question is, can a Clash actually do what they need to do and actually win this one out? I think there's a good chance the SPS, like we've talked about previously, is a phenomenal weapon, and they've opted to bring it on the Cali. They've opted to bring it on Clash. I think they have a good chance of continuing to see that SPS try to find success, because it didn't find much success on Cali, because they couldn't switch in time because of that rate of fire.
Dugan getting kill on to Ted. The one who got the opening kill is now dead before they can do anything more in this round. That is the air jabs off the board. Meow. They get taken out by JJ as well. So now things swinging back in the favor of Buffalo in the mid-round here. And things looking as dire as they've looked throughout the entire game, the entire matchup between these two teams. A shotgun in hand with JJ, the backup shotgun. I don't know how you get that kill on the coin flips. Tries to be aggressive, but Ado... or Strict Vilo, excuse me, on that Maverick, but Strict in the meantime will be taken out by Phoenix, and this is just back and forth, but Ado is the last one alive in a 1v3, and it's just not looking great.
Yeah, we'll chunk a nade to try and get it out, but it's going to be tucking from behind. Phoenix, however, will actually lose that. Hey, no way! Oh my goodness, that is a disgusting turn, and quite frankly, this is the miracle of Coastline here. What did we just behold? JWU winning their literally only round against Buffalo on a miracle spray. And I think that's the most kills we've seen them get in a single round as well. All of them. Disgusting. Absolutely phenomenal. And I honestly, it's shocking that JWU is only able to win a round off of a miracle play. That just shows how much Buffalo's been thrashing them. The nade was a little bit iffy, being able to try and take out the Clash. It worked out, however. It relegated itself to kind of a way to situate a little bit safety to run away, catching the Warden, turning around and catching both the Smoke and the Clash out. Phenomenal. 8-0 smooth. 8+ for me in that round. The rest of your team, however, struggled, and one of your players died to an ITA S, and that's probably the saddest part about that round.
Yeah, that is pretty sad. Really good flick, right? He gets the kill, flicks immediately, but I want to point out too, this is how they could have been winning rounds in the past, is making that aggression punished. They're being super aggressive. Everyone pushing the last man when they're on defense, meaning they don't have to do that. They could have played back. The Clash could have sat there and just zapped them and waited for the round to end, but they got greedy. They wanted the kill. The Warden gets killed. They think, oh, I can swing on him now. they're both lining up next to each other on the same doorways. It's a cardinal sin in a way, but it's happening because they've been thrashing him so much, so they're starting to get confident, right? Starting to feel like they can break the rules. And what happens? Ado gets the double kill after getting that third kill onto the Warden earlier. So a triple kill for him on the round and wins it on the back of just needless aggression. And honestly, I feel like that's a missed opportunity because that's really the way to make them punished. Just knowing that they're going to be playing like that, breaking certain cardinal rules like that, to be pushing aggressively. If you can just have the right drone work, the right information, you should be able to get some free kills onto them. And I felt like that's been what they've been missing the entire matchup. And now they're actually able to get around on the back of it.
Punish. That's the name of the game, right? That's what you're getting at? Punish. Quite frankly, that's not what's happening. If somebody's going to do you wrong, right, and completely thrash you like this, I think that's probably the only term that can really come up. Punish them for it. If they're going to play that aggressively, don't let them. They're going to do it. There's phenomenal ways to counter that out. You may not have ever faced that before. This is a learning experience for you. Take this on the chin. It happens. These types of games, they do happen. It is a thing that happens, and especially against a squad like Buffalo, who I can tell has put in the effort and really tried this one out. It's not that shocking to see. Zigolo finding one from above, using that buck to the aerial advantage, finds out Strict Viral, and it'll be a 4v5 fairly early on. JWU, a man down. It is the mute, which is a little bit less of an impactful frag, but it is still a player disadvantage you have now on the objective.
Yeah, not just that, it was utility wasted. You saw him try and throw the C4, but he should have thrown it as soon as they started getting some verticality. They already opened up a hole in another area. You can predict they're going to move into the other areas, because normally teams just start opening up the entire ceiling or floor, depending on whose perspective we're talking about here. Meow will get a refrag, though, onto Chodabis and bring it back to an even man count, but again, wasted utility. If the mute had just thrown it up earlier, reacted faster, could have got a kill.
Something to keep in mind, you do have it a 4v4. Chodabus has fallen, and that's going to be pretty pivotal for them. So you've lost that huge entry frag as Zofia. That lifeline with the impacts and concussions will not be... You don't have to face off against those, which is something that is very annoying and detrimental to your side. But will it matter in the end? Phoenix taking the rotation around. They're going to have to bring the R4C like we did not see the JWU side do previously. There could be some situations for some cheeky shots coming through. One player holding behind actual stage. He actually catches the corner, but not enough. And now the position is kind of known. Phoenix has an opportunity, but it'll be Coin Flips who finds it instead. Dugan will fall. SMG-11 from him will find the kill, and a player disadvantage for Buffalo. JWU finding their success on the defensive side, and as time tuckers out, Coin Flips will toss their toxic babes and find with an SMG-11. Meow finding his as well. Phoenix and JJ down, and it's just Zigolo. 10 kills to their name. They'll need to make it 14. Makes it 11. They step inside at 3v1. 10 seconds on the clock. Has an opportunity to step forward. Player within will get some shots in the direction. Will not be enough. 5 seconds. He'll check the bathroom stalls. No one there. And it's going to be the end. Ted finds the kill with the 416C, and JWU will win their second ever round in this matchup.
And second in a row, too, so they could start picking momentum here. I liked it, though. We saw the aggression was punished in that round. They were being very aggressive above and trying to push certain angles, like the doorway of service, and they just weren't able to gain any ground, and I liked seeing that. Now, one thing I do want to comment on is we saw there in the little engagement at the front door, we saw Meow went behind the desk. The player playing with him there, and I'm not quite sure which player that was. It might have been Phoenix. I think it was Phoenix on the Ash. Was just watching them, but they didn't watch the angle for which they could rotate around. They were just looking over into the left side. The entryway behind that desk at the front door is on the right side. And so Meow's able to just rotate around, and then Meow's still thinking they're behind that desk. So they get an easy kill, Meow does, because they didn't know where he had gone. They didn't watch the rotate out.
And just a lot is happening here. Being able to digest that's really important about what really gave JWU that chance. I think one of the harder points to do that was, and like the really big pivotal point about why Buffalo didn't really get that attack, is there was a lot of focus on the Eastern push. There wasn't variety. Buffalo has not been punished for taking one-sided aggression so far, and I mean that in a actual like compass kind of positional sense as well, and not just the fact that it's been a fairly one-sided route from the Buffalo side. They have only really pushed in from one side. They have not had very many variations in their attempts, right? We had seen that on their one round before as well. They really just kind of push in and play to frag, right? That's really what Buffalo does best, and we're seeing that at its finest. JW was able to slow it down and demolish it quick enough. And I think one of the big points of doing that, of being able to do that, was the fact that the Toxic Babes were a threat that Buffalo had to keep in mind. When you have the SMG-11 go off like it did, it's an insanely fast-firing weapon that, with a terrible recoil pattern, will connect with heads if you just slightly control it slightly downward. It's probably a headshot machine. Just because it kicks up high enough, you could aim at their toes and hit their head just 1 second later.
Yeah, SMG-11, really good weapon. Only problem, lack of bullets. So if multiple people push you, you might get one, but the chance of getting a second are very, very low. So that's always something to keep in mind, the situation in which you find yourself with that weapon in your hand. Trying to clutch a 1v5, for example, very hard to do with that weapon. And we've seen people struggle with it at all levels and tiers of this game. Though no kill coming in early in this one, a minute in, and just the drone work coming in. I think Buffalo has kind of pulled back on that aggression slightly. We're going to see the opening kill finally come through. Phoenix onto a Doze move, and that will be the Bandit off the board. I don't know. He probably had a C4 in his hand, so there's a little bit of wasted utility, but it's not the end of the world. These defenders can still hold primary positions up in the site.
I think one of the greatest things about this map is that a lot of the floors, which don't really look like, they aren't the standard look for being breachable and kind of clearable, like this floor right here, they are, right? It's like you just kind of have to take a second and shoot them out and realize, hey, I can use this to my advantage. And that room right there is one of the greatest places to use for advantage, especially for this objective. I mean, it's not viewable naturally to look at that and say, I could totally bust this out. It doesn't look like that standard wooden floor paneling that you see. But we are seeing some verticality now coming from the actual skylight side. This is where hard breachers have their heavily focused presence here on this map. It's really just here. You'll see it on that kitchen wall, and you'll see it on this skylight. It's really just anything centered towards skylight's going to be that focus. But speaking of focus, JJ out of focus and out of this round, as it's going to go in the favor of Meow and the Wamai. They'll find the kill, and a 4v4 is underway.
I'm curious how many air jabs he had managed to get off, but that is not the person you want to lose when there are roamers on the board still. Siglo, they're going to push into this lobby, or excuse me, luggage hallway, and he's just going to hold that angle. The rest of them are going to probably focus on the site, try and get an execution down, but this is looking still like a really one-dimensional push. Phoenix, though, will get a kill somewhere else on the coin flip. So as I said that, he was below, and I think he might have got a kill up through the destruction that you had mentioned. Another kill for Dugan, and Zigolo going to find Meow as well. Now it's all up to strict viral, and this could move him to map and match point as the plant has gone down. He gets one kill onto the Chotobus, but a 1v3 post-plant situation is not where you want to find yourself here against this team of Crush.
He'll find one on a Zigolo. He heard the audio cue from the barbed wire in the main hall. Has not turned actually yet to face it, however. Phoenix is down below, has a good sightline, but Dugan will not let it matter. Buffalo take round 8. They're now on match point finally. It's taken them a little bit longer to get there than the game before, but a very nice and solid, round there from the JWU side, despite being in that big man disadvantage. Strict coming through, finding 2, turning at the last second to unfortunately lose the gunfight against the opposition in the last fight, but could have gone either way. I genuinely think you did have the player below, which could have been a thorn at the end, but you do have the advantage of being able to shoot their head. It's really the only targets that you can see because you're just looking straight down on them. So I think it could have gone either way. Very good round. We are on match point, and Buffalo will try to end this one here.
I like the player below because you can see or hear even the notification when someone's getting on that defuse after it's been planted. And so playing below, the floor below the bomb itself wasn't destructed either. So they wouldn't necessarily know you're right below them. So all Phoenix had to do, had Dugan died in there in a 1v1, is just wait for the sound cue and just shoot up. And there's very little variation in where they can be around that bomb. So maybe you miss, but chances are you get it. You're probably going to shoot the man trying to defuse there and win that gunfight. So I like the play, keeping someone below just to play like that. And otherwise, I do want to move into this round now because it is map and match point, and something happening that we haven't seen yet is Iana being brought.
I actually really like Iana pick. I mean, that is the weaker weapon between the G3RC and the R4C, right? But still a phenomenal weapon nonetheless. We see rapid success with it. Nades in pockets. It's really just a fragger. That's really what it comes down to. Look at the side of Buffalo 1. Not a single person on that side has a weak weapon. Not a single one. Not a single person on the Buffalo side cannot be classified in their own little right as a entry fragger, as a frag-centric kind of person. Habana. Type 89 is a phenomenal weapon. It's low on ammo count in the actual magazine itself, but nonetheless, it does a lot of damage and it gets the job done. The ARX in the hands of that Nomad, another phenomenal weapon that gets the job done. The G3RC, the R4C, the M762, every single one of those is just phenomenal. And the speed they're bringing out from Buffalo, you can tell their go-to strategy is just ruthless aggression, and they're going to try and bring it again. JJ putting up some air jabs down to the first floor. We'll try to make sure they can secure the floor below once again. JW opting to go back to the subjective on the second floor. It might work out for them this time around. They do have a little bit more strategy about how Buffalo is going to decide to push this, because Buffalo has once again opted to take that very, very standard one-sided push coming from that southern side inside that outside veranda.
Yeah, same strat. It is the same bomb site as you had mentioned. So like to see that. If it worked last time, why not just go to it again? And that's seemingly the mentality here for Buffalo. On the other side of things, they're being a little bit more aggressive. We see Meow here playing below in that little office area. I'm not quite sure. Electrical, is that what that's called? I'm trying to remember. It's brain fart moment, but it doesn't really matter. He's
security.
down below. Security.
I think
Okay.
that's what it's called.
By the way, he's going to be there, but there was the air jab on that doorway, right? And so he's not going to be able to aggress the way he probably wants to. And Blue Bar is relatively secure unless they just try and wall bang the Ash playing in there. We do see Meow is going to take a lot of damage and get taken down by JJ. And so that is that roamer I had mentioned off the board. And so that's the only person I think I saw being very aggressive from JWU.
It's definitely one to keep in mind. It's going to be difficult for the Buffalo side, especially with the fact that you've just lost JJ out. I think they got a couple of the air jabs out, so it does have that utility. It's kind of being expended, but not really much to be anticipated after that fact. It is arguably the weakest of the weapons on your side. And JJ has found a little bit of success, but once a couple of those air jabs are down, you've really expended what you're there for. You're just fragging at that point, so not a huge deficit. A 4v4 with 40 seconds off. Toxic Babes will be tossed. Shield has been cocked out. That's going to be Phoenix who will clear that out. The safety net of that shield will be removed from the JW side, and now Buffalo is going to look for an opportunity to take the stance inward. Zigalo in his 12th kill. It won't be him who finds the next, though. It'll be Dugan who finds his 4th onto Ado Smooth in a 3v4. Chotopus looking to step inside, but it'll be Dugan who finds the kill. Coin flips will fall, but a spray from inside of Hookah will find Ted. He'll get the kill onto Chotopus in a 2v3. He finds a second onto Zigalo, evening it back out to a 2v2. 10 seconds on the clock. Dugan needs to step in, find the kill, and start the plant. Phoenix stepping up as an extra layer of support. Nitrocell tossed. It will not connect. He finds it. Phoenix gets the kill onto Ted. A 1v2. He finds it another, and Strict will fall. Buffalo take round 9 and take the game. 2-0 victory here in a phenomenal game to behold. Maybe JWU might not think that, but a lot can be learned on their side, and quite frankly, Buffalo's giving themselves a good reason to continue to be watched going forward.
Yeah, really good game from them. I do want to give credit. Ted really tried to bring that round back, but just a little bit of a criticism is he could have waited. The time was already down to the point where if someone planted, you could hear it going down, and then you could push together, those last two players, try and get that 1v2 because the planter can't fight you. So you have the man advantage, and then if they get off the plant, you win on time. So just playing that just slightly different might have actually won them the round, but still, he did an incredible job just even bringing it back from the 4v2 to a 2v2. So really good job, but unfortunate just didn't fall in the way for them. But a really good matchup. We saw a lot of players just pop off for Buffalo, so it's hard to say necessarily if there's a star player. I do think that Chotopus did do well, but he kind of got quiet on the second half of that map after getting 8 kills. Just didn't do a whole lot after that. I would say that on the other side for JWU, I'm hoping that, as you mentioned, there's a lot to learn. So this would be a really good VOD to go back. What did they do that stymied you? What can we do to try and counter that so we can continue with our game plan? Because it looked like their game plan they were too afraid to commit to it, or it just wasn't the right one to counter the stress that were being thrown at them, the aggression. Either way, certainly a lot to look at and to try and learn from.
Yeah, but I think it's one to keep an eye on. We'll ask our producer real fast. Are we going to have an interview with one of the players over on the Buffalo side? I'm getting no information. We're going to check for a moment. Still in. No, they are not still in, so we won't get any for this. Unfortunate. I would love to hear how much preparation they did for this matchup, but nonetheless, phenomenal game to behold. Wes, I'll let you send us out. My name's been Infernosis. Has been Wes. Wes, send us on out, and then we'll catch you guys in the next game.
All right, thank you everyone for tuning in. This is NECC, and that was the matchup between Buffalo and Johnson in Wales University. That was blue for them and alpha for Buffalo. Two different teams, because they have multiple teams. But that's it for us tonight. I don't believe we have another matchup to be streamed
We
for
do.
our six. Oh, it's going to be at 11 Eastern. Okay, so we do have a little bit of a break here until then. So come back and catch that last matchup of the night. And of course, continue to watch throughout the week. There will be Rocket League and other games being streamed as well. So catch those. And that's it for us here, though. And we'll see you later. Have a good one.
What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch your head.